Hi, hello everyone. It's Siobhan here from LMETB. I hope you're all well and I hope you're staying safe at home and that all your families are keeping well. And I know at this stage you must be missing your friends and seeing your friends at school. Maybe you're even missing school, or maybe you're even missing your teacher. But I hope you're being really good for your new homeschool teachers because they are trying their best and they're working really hard to help you. And I am delighted that you decided to do this project with me. And I can't wait to see some of your fabulous designs coming back to me. So you should get a package in the post this week, and that contains different worksheets for you to design things for me that link back to the book that we read in school. I'm going to read the book for you again today, just in case it's been a little while since you read this one. I'm going to read it again, and if you have your adult reader with you and you're sitting somewhere nice and comfortable, and we can get started and we'll read our book. Before I do that, I just want to ask you all, can you remember something I told you about myself before we started our reading program in school? If you can remember, really well done. If you can't remember, I am going to remind you now. Okay, so I love books. I love books, and I love my books so much that I give my books a hug. And I love my books so much, I give my books a kiss. And I love my books so much, I say, I love you, books. I love my books, and I hug my books, and I mind my books, and I care about my books. I look after my books. And I read my books. That's the most important thing. So I hope that you're all minding your books at home for me. Okay, are we ready to get started? Great. Okay, so if you're sitting somewhere nice and comfy and you have your adult reader with you, we'll get started and we're going to read our Man on the Moon book. When I was looking at the cover of the book, though, I looked at the moon. And I noticed that the moon reminds me of food. And it kind of reminds me of cheese. Does it remind you of any food? It sort of looks like cheese to me because it's kind of the same colour as cheese and it's got some holes in it. And cheese sometimes has holes in it. But I think that there might be a different name for these holes that we might find out about in the book. Also, I noticed this little fellow on the front cover, and I wonder, are we going to find out some more about those guys in the book? Let's find out. Okay, so this is Bob. Perhaps you've heard people talk of him. You may know him better as the Man on the Moon. So when I was looking at this picture, I noticed in Bob's living room that there are lots of things that remind him about the moon, or about planets, or about space, or astronauts. See with your adult reader, can you find or can you count the number of things in Bob's living room that remind him or that are about the moon? Another thing I noticed when I was reading this book to myself is Bob has a very strange looking next door neighbour. Do you have next door neighbours that look like this? This is where Bob lives. Every morning he rises at 6 o'clock. Wow, 6 o'clock is early. What time do you rise at? Or what time do you get up at? Do you get up at 6 o'clock for school? Do you get up at 6 o'clock for homeschool? Are you like Bob and you rise early? He has a cup of tea and 2 eggs for breakfast before leaving for the rocket launch pad. On the way, he stops to buy a newspaper and some chocolate toffees. He's on his way to work on the moon. So let's take a closer look. How does Bob get to work? Bob's very fit. Bob goes to work on his bike. How do you get to school in the mornings? Do you get to school in a car or on a scooter or roller skates or skateboard or tractor? How do you get to school in the mornings? By 8 o'clock, Bob arrives at the launch pad, changes into his special man-on-the-moon suit and boards his fantastic rocket ship. Now that does look like a fantastic rocket ship. He must make sure he leaves by 9:15, otherwise he wouldn't make it to the moon by 9. On the way, he reads the newspaper and does the crossword. Bob starts work. His job as man on the moon is very important. He has to keep the moon clean and tidy. Quite often, astronauts drop sweet packets and cans. Some people say that aliens are responsible for much of the rubbish, but Bob knows that's not true. There's no such thing as aliens. Those astronauts don't really think about the environment. Do you think about the environment? I bet when you're out and about, you don't drop your cans or sweet papers. I bet you put them in your pocket or you find the nearest bin. Not like these messy astronauts. Also, I've spotted something here. Take a look with your adult reader and see what you think. Also, before I turn the page, I've just noticed something else. Take a look at this section with your adult reader and see what you can see. By 12:30, it's time to eat. Bob goes to his rocket ship to fetch his lunchbox. This usually contains 2 sandwiches, either cheese or peanut butter, an apple and some chocolate-covered nuts. That sounds like a nice, healthy lunchbox that Bob has. If you were an astronaut like Bob, what sort of lunch would you bring? What sort of lunch do you bring to school? Now that you are having school at home, what kind of lunch do you have at home school? Sometimes he meets his friends for a picnic. His 2 best friends are Billy, the man on Mars, and Sam, the man on Saturn. They talk about the stars and tell jokes. Looks like somebody that they didn't invite to the picnic is helping themselves to a nice tasty treat. My goodness, it's certainly getting very busy on the moon right now. I wonder, could you, with the help of your adult reader, see can you count all these rockets? After lunch, tourist spaceships start arriving from Earth. It is part of Bob's job to entertain them and give them something to photograph. So he does somersaults, handstands, and especially high moon jumps. Sometimes he performs for as long as 2 hours and is left quite out of puff. Well, if you can, have a go and see can you count all those fabulous tourist rockets coming to the moon. Oh, also, there's something funny happening up here with this rocket. I've noticed something else down here, and there's also something else happening over here. So take a look with your adult reader. Occasionally, that's a big word, occasionally, the tourist spaceships will land on the moon. When they do, Bob gives them a guided tour and a speech. He tells them lots of facts, such as how many craters the moon has or how long it takes to walk around it on stilts. That's the word. So these holes on the front here, these holes are called craters. See if you can find out something more about craters. Sometimes people ask him about aliens, and Bob explains patiently that there aren't any. Afterwards, Bob opens a small souvenir stand selling postcards, pencils, mugs, and small plastic moon models. By 4:30, all visitors must leave the moon. Bob looks around to see that everyone has left. He checks inside any big craters in case anyone has fallen in, but there's never anyone there. I wonder, can you see, is Bob right? What's Bob holding in his hand? Also, I'm not sure that this crater is empty. The working day is nearly over. It is time to check everything is in order before leaving for the night. Bob packs away his equipment and any unsold souvenirs into his rocket. He switches on the moon's nightlight before jetting off towards Earth. By this time he is very tired, but he still has to keep his wits about him while he's flying the rocket. Now, I have a feeling you can take a closer look, but I have a feeling that maybe Bob isn't on his own in his rocket flying home. Have a look and see. Wow, this is a busy picture. As he reaches Earth, it's about 5 o'clock. The rush hour is in full swing with everyone leaving work and going home, just like Bob. So have a look and see on this page. Have a look and see how many different things you can see. Have a look and see how many aliens you can find. See, can you see his Bob in his rocket? See, can you see any different things that are happening in the sky? Have a look and see. At home, Bob is just like anyone else. First, he has a long bath. Moon work can make you very grubby, as sometimes the dust can get inside your suit. Then he goes to bed with a mug of cocoa. He sleeps soundly, bathed in moonbeams, very happy to be the man on the moon. And aliens? Well, Bob would know if there were any. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the story reading. I hope you had a nice cozy time reading the book with your adult reader, and keep an eye out on the post, and hopefully you'll have something nice to show me very soon. I'll be in touch with your mums or dads and we can have a look at your wonderful designs. I can't wait to see what you make. Okay, everyone, take care. Bye.